This is Ruslan Belov. What can I say? Everyone's getting stirred up about Istanbul right now. Zelensky seems to imagine himself the ruler of the world or something, I don't know, because he's acting like he's summoning Putin, saying, "I'll come to Istanbul and wait for you there." Trump is also chiming in, trying to insert himself, saying maybe he'll show up too, even though that wasn't discussed at all. Putin said, "Let's resume negotiations, but between negotiators." Still, they're trying to twist things and lure Putin to Istanbul. I'm curious to hear your opinion. Will Putin go or not? It's Tuesday now, and the meeting is scheduled for Thursday. There's no information from the Kremlin yet. What do you think about all this? Fighting on the front lines continues despite efforts to push for a 30-day ceasefire. And we continue to analyze the frontline situation. Let's open the map. So, friends, by the way, did you notice that after the 3-day truce on the front ended, the Ukrainian armed forces' activity in attempting to break into the Kursk region suddenly dropped off? You could say it's due to their lack of results, but personally, I don't believe in such coincidences. Their attack started on May 5th, and right from the start, zero success. They didn't achieve anything, not even temporarily. We're not going to count the brief incursion into the outermost streets of Tyotkino as any real success. And near Novi Put, they didn't achieve anything at all, just losses. Same in the Zaria area, nothing but losses. From May 5th to May 11th, they were actively assaulting, throwing in armored vehicles, manpower, even a few tanks. But as soon as the 3-day ceasefire ended, suddenly there's no more interest in the Kursk region. Coincidence? This new Kursk adventure was only needed to create a certain media backdrop to tarnish Victory Day. Let's suppose they had succeeded with their plan, capturing Tyotkino, Popovo Leżaci, Novi Put, Zaria, and maybe pushing a bit deeper. Then yes, Victory Day would have been overshadowed. But the Russian army handled it completely, repelled the attacks, and didn't allow a breakthrough into the Kursk region. Now we're only seeing sluggish attempts to slip through, sometimes with infantry or even quad bikes. But that's more residual momentum. The kind of serious assaults we saw before May 10th from the Ukrainian side are no longer happening. That doesn't mean Zelensky and the top Ukrainian command have abandoned their plans to occupy some fragment of Russian territory. But for now, this is what we're observing. UAF activity has significantly dropped. Meanwhile, our own offensives into the Sunumi region continue. Yesterday, there was progress in central Belovody. Russian troops captured a UAF soldier. And you know, it was filmed live, literally on camera, how he was taken prisoner. I posted the video on my Telegram channel. The link is in the first comment. He immediately started pleading, "Don't kill me, I have kids. I have a Russian father." It's interesting. When it comes to killing Russians, a Russian father doesn't seem to be a problem. But when captured, suddenly he hides behind it. So anyway, I can't show that video here, so head to my Telegram channel via the link and you can watch it there. It's quite interesting. Back to the Sumy region, we've made progress in Lochnia. The central part of the village is now under our control, and the UAF has retreated to the southern outskirts, where they still have some presence. Our forces are now trying to push them out of there to move on to Yunakovka. Let's move on. Much more significant and interesting progress is happening in the Toretsk and Pokrovsk area, where the UAF themselves are saying everything is collapsing for them. In the pocket between Toretsk and Pokrovsk, the UAF continues to retreat. I told you yesterday about how they're falling back near Romanivka, and now even Ukrainian maps are showing our advance. Not even just progress, but reaching the southern edge and entering the village. Fighting is ongoing in Romanivka. It's an important village, so it won't be easy. I explained its significance in yesterday's report, but let me quickly repeat. Look, after Romanivka, there are 6 kilometers of open terrain without serious fortifications all the way to Oleksandr Kalinove. So taking Romanivka would allow us to use it as a staging point for a push through that 6-kilometer stretch. And reaching the line of Oleksandr Kalinove-Yablonivka basically puts us on the southern approach to Kostyantinivka. That's why Ukrainian military analysts are already in a panic. Full-blown panic right now. Well, as the saying goes, panic makes things look worse than they are. So they're exaggerating the severity of the situation a bit. Although, of course, things aren't going well for them here. Just not as badly as they're making it out to be in their Telegram channels. But there are setbacks every single day, and you can see that even from my reports. In addition to entering Romanivka, there was also a minor advance from the direction of Alexandropol. The main goal of the movement here is to reach Zarya and clear the pocket to the south. So far, the advance has been rather slow, but at least this section of the front is not standing still. Overall, the Ukrainian armed forces experienced several setbacks on the eastern flank of Pokrovsk yesterday. First here, a pocket in front of the highway was cleared. The advance amounted to a little over 4 kilometers, and the total area that came under our control is around 12 square kilometers. Sure, the numbers may not sound too impressive, but the advance itself is extremely important. Because now the entire area in front of the highway is under our control, meaning there's no more threat to the flanks, and that means we can now begin moving along this road further beyond the highway. This opens up the opportunity to encircle Novopoltavka, where fighting is currently ongoing, from the west and also from the east, so we'll keep watching that. The second setback, which is more serious in terms of numbers, occurred in another pocket, this time between Hrodivka and Myrolyubivka. Here, our advance was not just 1 kilometer, but 2.5, and the total area brought under control was 3.5 square kilometers. What does this gain achieve? It tightens the encirclement of the entire agglomeration. I mean the settlements of Mirnohrad and Novoekonomichna. On a broader scale, this advance is more strategically significant, even if the numbers are smaller. Also today, the Russian Ministry of Defense reported that the settlement of Myrolyubivka has come under full control of the Russian army. Now the Russian army is less than 2 kilometers away from the outskirts of Novoekonomichna. Once Novoekonomichna is taken, things will quickly deteriorate for the Ukrainian armed forces on the Pokrovsk front. From that village, FPV drones from the Russian army will be able to reach the main supply road for Ukrainian troops. All logistics for the AFU pass through the T-0515 highway, and if Russia gains fire control over it, then the days of Pokrovsk are numbered. Here, further movement is possible, while there, just a cleared pocket, so it doesn't open up any major new opportunities. But still, as they say, it's a nice development. Let's continue. A few days have passed, and American cartographers finally updated their maps, marking Kotlyarivka as being under full and uncontested control of the Russian army, even though this actually happened almost a week ago. The reason is that yesterday objective control data emerged, specifically a video showing the Russian flag. So now everyone knows for sure that Kotlyarivka is under Russian control. All that's left now is a push to break through to the Dnipropetrovsk region. Just 3.5 kilometers to go, 3.5 kilometers of fields. No trenches, no dugouts, no fortifications anymore. Slightly to the south, the fields between Alexeyevka and Bondarevka are being actively cleared by the Russian army. The front line is being leveled, with Russian forces steadily approaching Alexeyevka from the west. Regarding Bohatyr, very interesting information is coming in. According to Russian OSINT sources, 80% of the settlement has come under Russian control. Another important report comes from south of the village. The Russian army has already reached the H-15 highway and is advancing westward from Bohatyr. The fields to the south are also being actively cleared by Russian forces, and they're steadily moving toward the settlement of Komar. North of Novoselka, Russian troops have taken a good portion of the front under control. In this footage, we can see strikes on Russian infantry. Based on this video, that area was marked accordingly on the map. From the Zaporizhzhia front, we finally have updates about Russian forces advancing toward the settlement of Kamenka. Also, further east, there's good progress moving north. Now, a few words about the political aspect. Our source reports that the reason why the Kiev administration so quickly signed the resource deal and Parliament voted it through is because Trump's team obtained some serious leverage over Zelensky's inner circle and the grey capital he has amassed while serving as president. The Americans uncovered a lot about Zelensky and his associates, according to the Telegram channel Legitimny. Zelensky was shown a draft audit of U.S. military financial aid in which unexplained expenditures amounted to $10 billion. Moreover, Ukraine failed to clearly explain the disappearance of 26% of the US-supplied weaponry. All this while the Americans continue to investigate the entire corrupt scheme involving US assistance. Another key fact: some of the supplied weapons ended up in the hands of various groups. That's not just a scandal, it's international arms trafficking. It essentially ruins the image of Zelensky and Yermak. So now you know why Zelensky so quickly agreed to give up national assets and fall into full economic dependence. Putting it mildly. As usual, he was just trying to save his own skin. Our Kremlin source reports that Moscow is not afraid of the new European sanctions they've been loudly announcing. They will change nothing, writes the Legitimacy channel. Furthermore, Moscow will not agree to halting combat operations without real negotiation results, where concrete conditions for a durable peace are developed, after which leaders can meet and sign agreements to end the war entirely. A meeting between Zelensky and Putin is, of course, not going to happen now. Zelensky loves to turn everything into a show and is bluffing again, while the Kremlin is engaged in backroom negotiations with Washington. A 30, 90, or 180-day ceasefire won't stop the war. It will only freeze the conflict and give Kyiv and globalists time to prepare for more arms deliveries. Weapons production and mobilization will continue, and Moscow fully understands that, so it won't fall into that trap. Before Putin's late-night speech between May 10th and 11th, rumors began circulating that he was delayed due to urgent phone talks. Many suspected it was with Trump. Judging by Trump's support of Putin's version, it's clear they're working together against Zelensky and the globalists. Zelensky likely realized this and is now rushing to Istanbul, demanding that Putin come for talks. It's the last bluff he can play to try to derail Trump's peace plan. But the problem is that behind the scenes, certain global business clans have made new arrangements, shifting the balance of power. Most likely, Zelensky could soon be discarded as a useless player. The press signals from the EU in Kyiv are being interpreted as a farewell. And that's all for today, dear friends. Thank you for watching. If you liked this material, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel.